You're lying in bed with the blanket pulled up to your chin, like that's enough to keep the world out. And maybe it is, for now. The kind of stillness that comes when you've already said no to everything else tonight, even if just by staying awake. Your eyes are open, but not looking at anything. Not really. They're resting in the dark, waiting for something to happen, or for time itself to stop. You're listening to the hum of the fridge, a low, steady pulse from down the hall that you've only ever noticed when no one else is around. This isn't just habit. This isn't some accidental extra hour slipped between dinner and sleep because the day ran over again. No, the moment came when it became clear. The hours before bed weren't yours until you took them back, not on paper, not in calendar slots, but in your body, in your quiet insistence that this one stretch of night belonged to no one else. Revenge, bedtime procrastination isn't a flaw. It's a declaration. You didn't fall into it by accident. You chose the screen glow instead of surrendering to silence because you needed something, not distraction, not escape, but presence. The kind where your thoughts aren't rushed through a checklist or answered before they've even formed, where your time doesn't answer to anyone else's schedule. You can stop scrolling now if that's what you want. You don't have to keep proving it. But the truth is, you weren't just avoiding sleep. You were reclaiming something deeper than rest. The day belonged entirely to people who had names and deadlines and emails and demands. It was full of meetings you didn't choose, conversations where your voice wasn't invited, plans that never asked what you wanted. And so the night became a kind of sanctuary, not because it's late or quiet, but because for the first time all day, no one is asking anything of you. You weren't expected to be useful, to respond, to perform, to show up as someone else's version of yourself. You sat on the edge of your bed at 10 past 11 and thought, "This is mine." And then you stayed, not because you forgot about tomorrow, but because tomorrow already took so much that it felt like a mercy to take this small piece back. That's why you're still awake. That's why your body feels both empty and full, exhausted from holding everything in all day. yet electric, with the certainty of having been seen in some way, by yourself at least. You're not broken for doing this. You're not failing because you can't fall asleep when you want to. Your brain doesn't run on willpower or clock time like that. It runs on interest, attention, relevance. And after a day with no space for any of it, your mind had only one way left to say, I exist. I matter. The screen wasn't just an escape. It was evidence. A record of you choosing yourself. Not the version who finishes every task. Not the person who arrives on time and smiles at everything. But the one who said no without saying anything out loud. And now here you are, 2 a.m, your body whispering enough, while part of your mind still wonders, just for a moment, whether that last episode might have ended differently if you'd watched it through. Whether there's something else on the queue you haven't seen yet. Whether the game could have been finished with one more move. None of those things matter right now, though not because they're wrong to want. They're just not what you need tonight. This is a place to rest, not medical advice, not therapy, not treatment for anything. If sleep stays hard night after night, if the feeling that nothing fits or works never leaves, then it's worth talking to someone trained in how brains like this work. But right now, right here, you don't need answers, not even a plan. You just need permission to be exactly where you are. So let me say it clearly. What you did tonight wasn't wrong. It was necessary. The night isn't the enemy of sleep. It's your only chance to claim something that feels like freedom without surrendering your mind. And now, you're still holding onto that feeling, not out of rebellion, but because it felt true. The same hunger for space, for time that belongs entirely to you, that's real. That's valid. That's yours. It doesn't have to be fixed. You don't need a cure just because your brain runs differently than someone else's. There's no shame in wanting more than the day gave. There's no failure in needing something back after it was taken. You're not being lazy for staying up late on purpose. You're being honest about what you've been missing all along. And so here's the thing. Rest doesn't have to feel like giving up the night. You don't lose your freedom when you fall asleep. The hour you claim is still yours, even in sleep, because no one can follow you there. No one can interrupt you with a question or demand another version of yourself. Sleep isn't surrendering what you stole back. It's carrying it further down the road. You're not giving up your evening when you close your eyes. You're taking it with you into stillness, where no voice cuts in, no task appears on a screen, no reminder rings from a calendar that doesn't respect your rhythm. This is how freedom works sometimes, quietly, without fanfare. Not by fighting the world, but by choosing what's yours and holding it close until even sleep can't let go. So take this moment as permission. You don't have to decide between being free or sleeping well. You can be both at once. The night stays yours no matter how long you stay awake, and it stays yours when you finally fall into rest. And if your mind wanders now, if thoughts come back like old friends with unfinished business, the paused game still glowing somewhere in memory, that half-finished podcast waiting to resume, or just the quiet ache of knowing tomorrow's list will be there again. Let them arrive. But don't answer. Don't argue. Just notice. The fact that you're thinking about it doesn't mean you need to act on it. It only means your brain is still doing its job, remembering what matters, what feels important, even if only for a moment, even if just because it's real right now. You don't have to fix anything tonight. Not the past, not the future, not this feeling of being stuck between wanting to stay awake and needing to rest. Just let yourself be here, in this soft hum from the fridge down the hall, steady like a heartbeat, like time breathing slowly through your walls, like something that's been there all along, but only makes sense when you're quiet enough to hear it. The blanket is up to your chin. You're not hiding anymore, but you don't need to be seen either. No one else knows you're awake, not even the clock, because clocks don't know about hunger for space or what it feels like to hold time in your hands like a secret. There's no rush. There's no list that needs checking. The future isn't knocking yet, and you're not ready to answer anyway. Let yourself sink into this place. where being awake doesn't mean doing anything, where stillness is allowed to be full of feeling, where the only rule is that you can stay exactly as you are, eyes open or closed, mind racing or quiet, breath steady or uneven. And if your thoughts drift again, if something pulls at the edge of awareness like a thread left dangling, just name it without judgment. Not, I should stop thinking about that. Not, why do I keep going back? But simply, that's what's happening now. The game is paused, waiting for you to return. There are still 2 episodes in the queue. That one tab remains open somewhere on a screen no longer visible. You don't need to answer. You don't have to decide. Just let them be there, like clouds passing through the sky of your mind, not stopping you from lying here, breathing slowly, letting yourself settle into this moment that is already enough. You're lying in a place where time doesn't measure itself by tasks or demands, but by breaths that settle deeper than memory. The fridge hums again, not loud enough to disturb, just steady enough to remind you that something is still alive in the quiet, something that moves without asking for permission. It's not waiting for anything. It's only being itself, cooling what needs cooling, running on its own rhythm like an old friend who knows how to stay silent when needed. Your shoulders have lowered since last time. The tension slipped down somewhere between one pause and the next, like water finding its level in a bowl no one bothered to fill. There's space now where there wasn't before, between your ribs, behind your eyes, in the hollow beneath your collarbone. Not because you've done anything special, but because you've allowed it. You didn't have to earn stillness. It came not as reward, but as return. The blanket stays up high, a small wall between you and the world outside sleep. But even that isn't guarding against intrusion anymore. There's no one coming. Not tonight. No voice calling your name. No email blinking like an invitation to be needed. The only thing asking anything of you is the quiet hum from down the hall. And it doesn't want much, just a witness. Let yourself sink into the weight of that truth. Being seen isn't required here. You're not performing wakefulness or rest. There's no role to play, no performance of sleepiness, not even pretending to be calm. Just you, breathing through the space your body has made for itself, a shape in the dark, soft-edged and whole. And when a thought comes like a slow drip from a leaky faucet, just one more thing that hasn't been said, just one last moment of feeling not quite settled, you don't have to name it. You don't even need to notice. But if you do, let it be the same way the fridge hums, as an event in the room, not a demand. There's no point in trying to outrun what remains unsaid. Not tonight. The things that still echo, the unfinished conversation with your own mind, the sentence never finished, the apology left hanging somewhere between heart and tongue. Those aren't problems needing solutions. They're echoes of presence, signals that you were here, awake, feeling everything that mattered. You don't need to answer them. You don't have to close anything. Just let them linger like dust motes in a sunbeam. You can't quite see any more floating, not fading, just there. Now shift your attention to the texture of stillness itself, the way it feels when the mind stops trying to do and begins only to be. It's not empty. It has weight. It holds temperature. There's depth in how quiet can feel like a kind of fullness, like being cradled by something that doesn't need you, but still lets you stay. There's no right way to lie like this. No correct posture for surrender. You're allowed to be heavy or light, to be awake and already asleep at the same time. The body knows how to rest even when the mind is not yet convinced. And that's okay. Let your fingers relax where they are. No need to tuck them under the blanket or pull it tighter. Let them lie open on top of the fabric, palms up like they're receiving something small and quiet, a whisper from the night itself, or maybe just air, warm in places, cool near the edge. Nothing grand, just sensation without purpose. The hum continues, low and continuous, like a second heartbeat beneath the floorboards. You might not have heard it before tonight. Maybe you've lived beside it for years and never noticed. But now you do. And that's enough. There is no urgency to hear more or to understand why this matters. It doesn't matter why. It only matters that it is. That you're lying here with a blanket up to your chin, eyes open, feels less like a list of things to do and more like something breathing beside you. You don't have to fix or finish. You don't have to be useful. There's no future that needs you just yet, no one calling for permission to begin again. Tomorrow will come in its own time. It has not been summoned. It hasn't knocked. So stay here, where the dark is thick, but not heavy, and the silence doesn't feel like absence. It feels like company, like something old and kind that knows what it means to wait without being asked. And if your mind drifts again, just one more time, noticing the way the room cools near the window, or remembering how long the game was paused before you stopped playing, or thinking about whether the door is locked, the only response needed is a soft letting go. Not resistance, not chasing after answers, just that's what this is now. Not a mistake, not failure, not rebellion against sleep, just presence. You are not losing time by being still. You are not giving up your evening when you close your eyes. The night doesn't vanish into the dark. It carries on, deeper than before. It becomes part of you in a way that can't be measured or taken back. There is no better place to go than this, where you're allowed to exist without doing anything for anyone, where being awake isn't about producing something, but simply about being here, felt, seen by yourself, held by the quiet. Your breath slows not because you want it to, but because your body remembers how to settle when no one is watching. It doesn't need a goal, no alarm to push toward, just rest. And rest isn't surrender, it's continuity. The night stays yours, even when you're asleep, even when you can't feel it anymore. Because the part of you that stayed awake tonight, your hunger for space, your refusal to disappear into someone else's schedule, is not gone. It's folded under your skin like a secret you no longer need to guard. Let go now, not because you've decided, but because you're ready. Not because sleep is winning, but because it's finally allowed itself to be part of the same story. There's no sound, no movement beyond breath and hum and slow pulse. You don't have to think about staying awake or falling asleep. Just let your awareness sink into what's already happening, the way the weight of your limbs begins to dissolve into the mattress, not because you're forcing it, but because gravity has been waiting for this moment all along. Let yourself be carried by that, by the quiet knowledge that no one is coming, that nothing needs you yet, that even if tomorrow arrives with its list and its demands and its bright-eyed expectations, they will have to wait. Because right now, in this small room with only a hum for company, something deeper than resistance has taken place. You've already won by choosing not to run from the night. And so, as your body settles further into stillness, let yourself be held by that, not by the blanket or the walls, but by the fact that you are allowed this. You are allowed to be here, to stay, to not have to explain why you're awake, why you don't want to sleep, why you need these hours. No one else knows what it feels like to hold time, like a secret between your hands. But you do. And now, even when the room goes darker and quieter than before, when all that remains is breath and hum and slow pulse, you are still awake in a way no clock could measure. Not because you're fighting sleep, but because you've learned how to carry it with you, how to make stillness into something rich. Let your mind drift again, not toward things left undone or promises unkept, but toward the feeling of warmth under your chin, the soft press of fabric against your cheek, the slow rhythm that is neither fast nor slow, but just true. There's no need to return from here. Not tonight. You're not leaving anything behind, only carrying forward what was always yours. This quiet hour where you were free, and now you are resting in it like a memory of freedom already lived. You don't have to be anywhere else. Not yet. And even if you fall asleep, the moment won't end. The night will continue. You'll still be inside it. Still the one who took back what was never meant to be given up. You stay awake, not because you're holding on, but because you've learned to let go in a way that doesn't need proof. The hum of the fridge keeps ticking like a slow heartbeat beneath your ribs, steady enough to feel like it's been there longer than memory. You don't have to listen anymore. You just are listening. And that is its own kind of peace. There's no reason for this stillness except that it exists. No demand behind it. No task left undone or voice waiting on the other side of silence. The air between your eyelids stays warm. Your skin doesn't need to be touched to feel safe. This quiet has already wrapped around you, not as protection, but as presence. The blanket isn't just covering you, it's part of how you're breathing now. It settles into the shape your body makes when it stops resisting gravity, when it stops trying to keep things at arm's length or defend itself from what comes next. You don't have to want anything anymore, not even rest. Just this, that the moment is allowed and you are not outside of it. A thought arrives not as a pull, but as an observation, like dust motes floating in the dimness beyond your closed eyes. The way one corner of the blanket has curled slightly at the foot of the bed, just enough to suggest motion without moving. Not a twitch, just a suggestion that something was there, and now it is. You don't need to fix it. You don't even need to see it. It's not important. But you notice it anyway, like noticing a note someone left in your coat pocket long after they'd gone. A small thing, unimportant, but still remembered. There's no time here. Not the kind that counts or adds up. Just this slow drift of awareness through quiet space, the way sound fades into silence, not with a bang, but like water sinking into earth. You might be dreaming already, though you don't know it yet. Or maybe you're not. It doesn't matter either way. The difference between being awake and drifting has blurred past the point of needing to name it. The floorboards groan faintly somewhere in the house. Just once, a low creak that makes no claim on your attention, only reminds you this room isn't empty, even when no one is here. It's full of things you don't see, but feel the weight of wood under carpet, the way air moves through cracks between walls, a breath held for years. Your fingers are still curled slightly beneath the blanket, not from cold, not from tension, just because they've forgotten how to unclench. They rest where they fell when you last reached for something that wasn't there. A cup, a book, your own thoughts. You don't have to do anything with them now. You can leave them like this, the way the world sometimes leaves things behind in places it no longer needs. The hum returns again, longer this time, softer, as if the fridge itself has settled into its rhythm and stopped trying to be useful. It just is. No reason, no function beyond existing. You're not afraid of that. You've grown used to being without purpose for long stretches, not because you don't care about anything, but because now you understand. Some parts of life aren't meant to do something. They are meant only to be. The dark has softened into a kind of gray, so quiet it feels like color fading from memory. Your eyes have stopped searching the ceiling, stopped looking for shapes or shadows. They just stay closed, not out of effort, but because there's nothing left to find. You don't need answers anymore. You've already lived through enough questions. There is no urgency in your chest now. No ticking beneath your ribs that counts down to something you can't control. The only rhythm you follow is the one inside your body, slow and uneven, not trying to match anything but itself. A memory surfaces, not a scene, not an image, but the sensation of standing still on a sidewalk during rain, watching how water pooled in cracks between bricks until it looked like little lakes. You didn't move for 10 minutes. No reason, just being there. The world kept going around you. Cars passed, people rushed past, but you were already elsewhere. That's not an escape. That was homecoming. And now you're here again, not in a place, but in the shape of stillness that doesn't ask to be filled. The blanket presses gently against your cheek, as if it knows where warmth is needed more than logic can say. It doesn't try to comfort, just stays, like something that has always been waiting for this moment. You don't need to believe in anything anymore, not even the idea of tomorrow, not even that you'll wake up. All you have to do is let your body go further into what it already knows. How to stop resisting, not because you're tired, but because there's nothing left to fight. The air feels different now, thicker, softer, like it's been waiting for this exact breath. Like the room has folded inward just enough to make space for you to dissolve completely. There is no beginning or end here, only continuation. The way light changes in a hallway when someone turns off the switch, not because they're leaving, but because the room doesn't need to be seen anymore. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are simply unclaimed by time, by expectation, by anyone who ever thought you should be somewhere else at this hour. No one is coming with a list, or a deadline, or a voice that says you're behind. There's no need to justify your presence. No requirement to explain why the lights stayed on past midnight. You were never meant to fit into schedules that don't belong to you. And now, in this quiet stretch between breath and hum, there is space enough for you to be exactly as you are, no correction needed, no change required. Your thoughts aren't racing anymore. They're not even thinking. They've just stopped trying to lead. Letting the silence do its work instead, the way roots grow without knowing they're growing. The fridge hums on, a steady companion that doesn't care about your past or future. Only this moment in which it is needed, and no one else is listening. You don't have to be useful. You don't even need to remember who you are right now, only that you're here. And the night still has room for you. The space beneath your skin feels lighter than before, not because something was taken away, but because everything has been given back. And somewhere deep in your body, a part of you is already beginning to believe this isn't failure. This isn't running from anything. It's not rebellion or self-sabotage. It's belonging to the quiet, to the dark, to the time that no one else claimed for you. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove you deserve it. You're already in it because you stayed awake on purpose, because you said yes to this moment when everything told you to go away. And now, as your body gives itself over completely, not with a gasp or struggle, but like water finding its level, you are not leaving anything behind, not even the idea of being awake, because sleep isn't the opposite of freedom. It's just another form of it, the kind that doesn't require effort, only surrender to what already exists. You don't have to fight your way into stillness. You're already there, hidden in plain sight under the weight of a blanket. And the sound of an old machine humming through the night. Let the silence grow deeper without trying to fill it. Let your breath slow not because you want it to, but because your body remembers how to rest when no one is watching. There's no need to be anywhere else. No reason to return from this place where time stands still and nothing demands anything of you. You're allowed, just like that, to stop pretending, to let go, to be exactly as you are. Not too much, not too little, not broken or fixed, but whole in the way only silence can make someone feel. The air shifts slightly. A new breath moves through your chest without effort. The room holds its shape around you, not because it's full of things, but because it's full of nothing at all. And that is exactly what you needed. There is no tomorrow here yet. No one asking for anything. You're still here, and that's enough. The blanket stays just where it is, up to your chin, like a border drawn around this moment, not to keep anything out, but to make sure nothing else gets in. You don't have to hold yourself together anymore. The shape of you doesn't need to be defended tonight. The fridge hums on, not loud enough to wake anyone, not soft enough to vanish entirely. It's a sound that knows how to stay. A steady tone like the low pulse beneath all quiet things. Not urgent, not waiting for anything, just being. You can hear it now because you're listening. And listening means you're still awake, but not in the way that fights sleep. This is listening as rest. You don't have to decide what to do next. There's no calendar asking you to plan ahead or remember something important. No one is going to call. No message will appear. No one needs to know if you've moved or how still your body has become. The silence isn't empty. It's full of the kind of presence that doesn't announce itself. Your breath moves like it used to when you were small and didn't have thoughts, yet just air coming in and out. Slow enough to notice only because there was nothing else to notice. There's no rush for anything. No need to catch up with time or outrun the day. You've already stayed past its edge. You're not behind. you're not missing a thing. The weight of the blanket isn't heavy, it's gentle, like being held by something that doesn't think you need fixing. It covers your shoulders and chest and stays there without asking for anything in return. There is no performance tonight, no proof required. The only measure of this moment is how much it feels like home. And you don't have to be a certain kind of person to belong here. You don't have to feel calm or peaceful or even content, just present enough to let the dark hold you. That's all. Just being there without needing to explain why, without having to justify staying up or not going to bed or choosing this hour instead of another. The thoughts that used to race, you don't have to silence them anymore. You just don't need to follow them. They come and go like shadows passing across a wall at night. One drifts in, maybe the memory of a line from a show you watched earlier, not because you wanted it remembered, but because your mind kept returning to it like a quiet echo. And then it fades out again, leaving no trace behind. Not every thought needs a response. Not every feeling needs a name. You don't have to untangle anything. There's no need to solve or resolve or even understand. Just let the mind be what it is. Sometimes restless, sometimes still, sometimes full of fragments that float in and out without meaning anything at all. And if one comes back, the unfinished episode you couldn't bring yourself to close, the tab left open on a browser you'll never read, don't reach for it. Don't imagine how it ends or what might happen next. Just name it as it is, that thing still glowing in your mind. And then let it go like something drifting away from shore into deeper water. The night isn't waiting for you to finish anything. It's not keeping score. It doesn't care whether you've done enough, been good enough, or even remembered how to rest before. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to earn this moment by being quiet or still or patient. This is yours because you chose it, because you stayed awake on purpose. And now that choice has become its own kind of sanctuary. There's no one to answer for your presence here. No clock ticking down toward a time when you must rise. The hour doesn't matter anymore, not in the way it used to. 2 in the morning